Hello! We have one longer story today from IDoWorkHereLady that reached some prominence over the years and multiple updates. And lucky for us, just received a final update. The story holds a lesson at its heart that touches on something everyone can relate to: expectations versus reality. We're all told to shoot for the moon. Dream big, they say. But there's always this tiny little problem that sometimes your expectations can far exceed what's sane and, just maybe, we stretch a bit too far reaching for that star. As one woman in our story learns, dreaming too big can embarrass and humiliate you as it all blows up in your face. Story 1. Not sure if this is the right sub for it, but this is fresh off the press. Happened about an hour ago. I'm a head of sales and marketing for a major property developer with 10 years of experience in the industry. Several of those years spent at a large competitor's company. Let's call them Money Homes. They are considered the epitome of luxury due to the huge price tag. This will be important later on. My team covers all of the capital and a very large portion of the country. Roll on today, since we have only recently opened up and are launching new developments for which we don't yet have the staff. Today was the interview day. Normally, for those kind of positions, the person would be interviewed by the sales manager for that particular development, sales coordinator, and sometimes one of the directors. Since it's a bit of a trek for the sales director to come in for the interview, HR asked me to step in. As new employees will be reporting to me anyway, and it's a 2.5-hour train journey when we're supposed to limit non-essential travel. Cue 8 applicants we have waiting. First few interviews go pleasantly well, but nothing special, until we meet interviewee number 4. Meet Annabelle. Before she comes into the room, she's sitting in the waiting area with other applicants. Not only can I hear her go on about how she pretty much has the job in the bag as she's overly qualified and the other guys are wasting their time. First mistake. I can see her shuffling through papers at the admin desk, which was left unattended. Second mistake. She still doesn't realize that our office is behind a Venetian mirror. I can see her. She cannot see me. She hears the admin come back in and scurries away back to the seat. It's now her turn for the interview. She comes in, hands me a copy of her CV, and sits down opposite myself and the other 2 members of my team. I look at her CV with a slight half smile, which I think she took as a good sign, so she goes off talking about her major accomplishments at different employers. She tells us she's actually more interested in being hired for another position at our company, which she can assure me she's more qualified for than our current employee. She then starts spewing out figures of our marketing campaigns, which have not yet been published. She also advises me on the results we should expect and what our next move in terms of marketing should be. I advise her that the only positions currently open are for sales staff, but asked her which one she's specifically interested in. She mentions, wait for it, sales and marketing director, my job. My coworkers both look at me in waiting, so I decide to play along. I've asked her what makes her more qualified than our current director. She comes back to the marketing figures point and asks me outright, how many applicants are able to predict to a certainty what results you'll achieve? She then leads into a major point on her CV, Money Homes. So I started asking a little more about her position there. What was her area of responsibility, how long she has worked there, etc. She starts off telling this long, rehearsed story of how she started there as a negotiator a few years back and worked her way up to associate director. That's a fancy name for managers who are responsible for more than one project. Then, how she eventually became sales and marketing director, but is looking to leave, so discretion is of the utmost importance. At that point, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I really wanted to let her carry on, but I just burst out laughing and asked her to leave. She just gets very confused and starts asking what she said that has offended me. With the biggest grin on my face, I then said, it's one thing hearing you talk down to other applicants when you're supposedly looking for upper management position. Watch you steal confidential information from my admin's desk. I say this as I'm pulling the 2 pages out of her hand, our marketing reports. And telling me and my colleagues that you can do my job better than me by lying to me about your experience. She gets offended and starts going off at me that I know nothing about her and she did not lie about her experience. And how would I have known that anyway? Annabelle, the reason I know you're lying is because I was the sales and marketing director at Money Homes during the years you have described. Not only do I know you were not in a managerial position, I know that you were not even part of the department. Even if you did work there, the department was made of 42 employees, all of which I knew by name. I recommend that if you do indeed work there, you contact your director, as I will be filing a grievance against you for stealing confidential documents from their main competitor. Her face went pale as a sheet of cheap toilet paper. She turns on her heel, rips her CV out of my colleague's hands, and runs out the door. Like, does she really think we did not keep her details on email when she sent the doc through? Can't wait to see if I'll be hearing from her or Money Homes anytime soon. Update post 20 days later. So, Annabelle. As you can imagine, I was not best pleased with her and her interview. I didn't do anything about it for about a week, and to be fair, I wasn't actually going to raise a grievance after all. However, it so happened that Money Homes and my company have decided on a joint venture for a future regeneration project. So I was going into a meeting with them a week ago. The area sales and marketing manager for Money Homes arrived about 15 minutes before the rest of our meeting, and since we've known each other for a while, I retold him the story while catching up. He knew exactly who I was talking about even before I mentioned Annabelle's name, and lo and behold, she does not work for Money Homes and was never even employed by them. Turns out she is a subcontractor who works for a small independent estate agency, to whom Money Homes has been paying a set fee for accompanying weekend viewings local to them. That explained why she knew a fair bit about their processes, as she reports client information back to them, but wouldn't have known that I was also employed there at some stage. This also means that the incident with the marketing reports doesn't really mean squat, as they're not a competitor. It's also not the kind of info other companies would be willing to pay for, useful but not priceless. So there's no grievance to be raised. So even though I cannot be nearly as petty as I was hoping to be, considering how small our working world is, the story has spread. I can't see her getting employed by any of the larger house builders in the nearest future. The funniest thing about this is that my colleagues have come across this story on Reddit after I've removed certain personal details. They have been sending it to me with hopes of working out who Annabelle and Money Homes are. Like I said, it's a small world. I have been acting shocked and giggling under my breath every time I hear it. New update post almost 3 years later. I'm not sure if anybody will remember this saga, but it's been a couple of years. I've recently been having issues at my workplace and I've decided to move on. I've started at my new job just over 2 weeks ago. It's the same position, just for a different company. Imagine my surprise when I realized that Annabelle is an existing employee at the new place and part of the team who will be reporting to me. In my first week on the job, Annabelle came into my office, having clearly remembered me and the embarrassing occurrence of her interview a few years ago. We have had a very good chat. She apologized profusely and admitted that she thought everyone lies on their CV. She was so desperate to leave the job she was employed at the time, she wanted to make herself stand out. She's actually a very sweet girl and an integral cog in a very well-oiled machine that is the new company I've started at. I've explained to her that while it is true, most people do lie or exaggerate on their CVs, they tend to lie about much smaller things like GCSE results. They don't lie about running a competitor sales and marketing department. I've told her there's no bad blood between us, and as long as she's doing her job and doing it well, I will endeavor to support her as much as I possibly can. I've made her promise that if she ever considers leaving, to come to me first and we will work on her CV and covering letter together. I know it's not the petty update anyone was expecting or hoping for, but life has a funny way of teaching us a lesson when we need it most. I think both Annabelle and I have learned ours this time. In the comments, Jess Purse said, "Hey, good on Annabelle for actually owning up to it, albeit 3 years later. Communication, it works wonders." Died to Win said, "Yes, Annabelle, people lie on their CVs, but they don't go stealing papers of confidential information off an admin's desk. hoping that part of her job's searching endeavors also changed. An unexpectedly wholesome 3-year update otherwise. 87 replied, "I've never lied on my CV. Maybe that's why I'm not getting better jobs." Independent Singer added, "Yeah, it was news to me that most people lie on the CVs. I really don't think that's true, even about the smaller stuff." I have to question that as well. I can't imagine that the majority of people can tell a bold-faced lie like that in an interview and not sweat bullets. Not to mention, that shiitake comes out when you're hired for a job that you're not cut out for. I mean, they do say fake it till you make it, but that's usually about confidence, not competence. And I'm just going to add a little plug here. If you enjoy my stories, please leave a like and a comment, even if it's just an emoji to help me out. And that's it for today. Until next time, shine bright, Starlight. Yahoo! If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.